Hey guys, what's going on? It's the Endless Boss Battle Podcast episode, which one is it?
11.
Episode 11!
Heck yeah, dude.
Insane. We have our first guest, but which one is this episode? Master of Otaku. It's our friend Jake from school.
How's it going?
We have been wanting to have this guy on for a while because, you know, we're a certain kind of anime fan, and he's also about that seasonal noise. So, you know, we had to have him on.
Heck
But,
yeah.
That's good. It feels good to be on.
We are, and then I am Scuba and Snorlaxicus, as always. But,
Heck yeah. We out here grinding.
This episode, we're going to start doing a thing weekly where we talk about, like, the news, what's going on in the anime community. We felt like we needed to be a little more woke about stuff and hit you with facts instead of just an hour of us saying that Devilman is the greatest anime ever made.
Ever made. 10 out of 10.
Ever.
100 out of 10.
It's so good, it needs a new word.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and hop into it. The main thing is One Punch Man's season 2. They released a video for it, and people are roasting it. You hate to see it, man, because the thing is, like, the first season was Madhouse. They got an 8 point, I think it's an 8.7 on the first season, and that's amazing. I thought it was cool. I like One Punch Man. I love the manga a lot, and I'm not really like a big manga person, or I wasn't until recently, but we'll get into that. But yeah, I thought One Punch Man was awesome. I didn't know that there was all this drama with the studio change, and they got picked up by JC staff.
Oh, I didn't even realize that they changed studios.
Yeah, so it's like the
Yeah.
Toradora Food Wars.
Oh, I love Toradora. Okay, I have faith, I think.
But yeah, the promotional the video is not good. They've done a lot of comparisons between like the way that certain things were drawn in the manga, and then they just took a completely lazy route in it, and like it's shocking almost. There's a lot of weird CGI moments in it, and it's like, I am still obviously going to give it a chance because One Punch Man is One Punch Man. But I think that when you look at Mob Psycho's season right now, and you know that it's made by the same dude,
Oh my god!
and
Yeah.
you know what Mob looks like and like how it's setting new standards for anime, and you see this One Punch Man season trailer, it's like not a good look. And I think it's just happened at a bad time. Like, you're trying to do this season, the season after Mob Psycho just blew everyone away. And I don't know, I think it could still be cool if you don't compare it to the manga and maybe even the first season, but I think the writing might be able to save it. What do you guys think?
Well, I think the whole point of the original show is not really so much the focus on Saitama as like this badass character everyone wants him to be.
Yeah.
It's kind of more about the environment around all these heroes and just kind of God, I don't know. It's just it's like reverse shonen. He's this unstoppable force, but he just kind of wants to go along his life and just kind of be a lackadaisical hero, but everyone shits on him for it. So
Yeah.
I think all the like the action points, because obviously they're focusing a lot on, is it Genos? Is that
Yeah.
his name? I can't remember. Yeah, they're focusing a lot on him, so it makes me think that they're going to do a lot of the progression side of the shonen kind of arc with him. But obviously, they're going to work inside Tom at the last second. At least that's just what I think. But who knows?
Yeah,
The new studio kind of makes me a little worried, though. Not quite sure.
I don't know the entire story about like what went down, but I knew it was like a dramatic change, and I don't know. I think that's why it took us so long. I don't even know when the first season was, like 2015 or 16. But yeah, they held off on it, and then Mob just seemed better in every way to everyone. I don't know, but yeah, you're right. I do think that the focus is on everyone other than Saitama, because with Saitama, it's like we know that he's gonna get the job done if he has to.
Yeah.
But everyone else is really cool. But I just, on a visual perspective in comparison, I think I don't know. It's being labeled as the hypest show for next season, and that's the scary thing.
Yeah, it's interesting because I agree with that. I think the writing for the show make it at least be like watchable, but it kind of falls into the same basket as like Berserk 2016 and 2017, where you have like hand-drawn animations in one scene and then like Genos is in CGI in the other, and it's just like super jarring to go back and forth between like, hey, all of these characters are 2D drawn. Oh, hey, Genos is CDI or CG, I guess. Like it's just I don't know. I think visually it's gonna kind of suck, but the writing might carry it, and you never know. They might change things up last minute. Like I've seen that before with some studios that just like will ditch an art style before it airs and then just start over.
Like maybe they see all these people flaming it and they're like, I guess this is unacceptable. We need to polish some stuff up, like Justice League.
Yeah. Like, you got this scene here. I got the trailer pulled up on Rabbit, or you can look at the YouTube channel if you want the live stream. But I've got this scene pulled up, and there's a scene of Genos just jumping in. And he's clearly... he's just clearly, like, you can tell. There's so much good hand-drawn animation in this trailer that's just followed by him in CG. And I don't know, man. I don't normally have an issue with CG, like we were talking about earlier. Price of Smiles has CG mechs, and a lot of people hate that. I loved them. But I don't think I can get Genos, like, him being CG in my head and enjoying it. So
I think that you can obviously, we've proven at this point that CG can be done right, but when it looks like it's used in moments where like hand-drawn would have worked, then it's kind of iffy. But that's a whole nother discussion. But do you guys think it will be worse than the first season? Or
honestly, when you mentioned that they changed studios, I had complete faith in, because Madhouse is fucking they are that's almost a surefire win. But I don't know. I know they did Toradora, and I love Toradora, but that's a completely different anime.
Right.
Completely different style and writing and animation.
Yeah, it's like like none of their shows that they've done really seem anything like One Punch Man.
Right. And, like when I saw this trailer that everyone's like shitting on, I just thought to myself, I'm like, the show does a good job at like shooting down like norms, like what you expect to see out of something like a normal shonen battle anime, and it enjoys subverting them. So it's like, oh, they're just doing that to tease, Saitama. And obviously they have to keep Genos relevant somehow, because I mean, if he just keeps being a wimp that gets knocked around and Saitama has to save him every time, then there's no progression and it just feels samey. So I get the focus. Mm-hmm. Now the animation doesn't. I'm not gonna judge it till it comes out. I will hold my reservation. I'm excited but cautious.
Yeah, that's fair. Definitely. I think with the current information we have right now, it's gonna be underwhelming compared to the first season. I feel like the first season, like, was animated so well and built on a story so well that a second season animated by a studio that never animates shonen just isn't gonna live up to that. But that's my take on it. That's my opinion. But they might switch gears, completely different art style or something. Might become amazing. You never know.
Right, they might just knock it out of the water.
Yeah,
fantastic if they did, for sure.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna be too hasty on it, but from what I feel right now, I don't think it's gonna live up to the first season.
Yeah, I think we definitely are going to have to see it as a completely different thing than Mob as well. Like,
yeah, the shows have a completely different nature.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, I mean, we'll probably, almost definitely get to that next season when we have our first impressions. We'll see how it goes. We'll come back to this, but that was definitely the biggest bit of news that we had to throw out there because of all of the negativity around it. But other than that, I want to give a quick shout out to a PV I saw for a show called Fire Force.
Oh yeah.
Let me tell you guys about this, because I started jumping into this manga immediately after I saw this PV. The guy that made Soul Eater, this is his like long-running series.
Oh, I didn't know it was from that author. I love Soul Eater as well.
So the style, I was already like, oh man, Soul Eater was so like almost ahead of its time with art direction, and yeah, I was really stoked. So I jumped into this manga, and it is phenomenal. It's sort of like My Hero Academia, but more mature, and also like everyone has these powers revolved around fire. So there are these people in the world that just become engulfed in flames and become like these villains that don't have their mind anymore, and this fire force has to come out, basically put an end to these people. And it's like, you'll cover these stories where it's like a daughter just saw her dad become one, and then the fire force comes out, and they basically just have to murder their dad because he became an infernal or whatever.
Ooh.
And like, man, it is absolutely awesome. But the promotional video is enough to get anybody hyped about the show. It premieres on July 5th, and definitely keep this show in mind, because I think it's going to be a big deal.
It's by David Production as well. They're doing the JoJo, the current run of JoJo right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, you can definitely see the that Soul Eater-esque kind of art style here. I did not know, but now that you said it, it's very obvious that's that guy.
Yeah, they got this the girl that can there's like one guy that has a plasma sword. The main character has flames on his feet, and he can like fly with it. And they call him like the devil. And then the guy with the plasma sword is they call him King Arthur. And then there's a chick that can like harness fire, and she can like craft it into these little chibi dudes. And it's cool. I think that like it's super unique idea, and I'm like 20 chapters into the manga, and there's like 150 plus chapters, and I'm just like super into it lately, and wanted to talk about it for sure.
Yeah, it looks really, really good in my opinion. Probably I'm gonna check it out without a doubt when it comes out. I know I was talking to you earlier at work when you were telling me that the one dude's name is like King Arthur and he has Excalibur. And I was just like, what is with the dude who made Death Note, or not Death Note?
Soul Eater.
Dang. The dude that made Soul Eater and having all these references to King Arthur and Excalibur. It's in like everything. Yeah, it's like everything he makes. He has to have King Arthur in there somewhere.
Wasn't the whole thing with Excalibur and Soul Eater, wasn't that like a goof chapter or like a goof episode?
Yeah, it was something like correctly. That. I think it was like Death the Kid met like King
Excalibur.
Arthur or some shit.
Yeah.
I did notice that the voice for Black Clover's Asta is the voice for the main character, so I'll see if he can bring that back to...
Yeah, how much yelling are we going to have here?
It doesn't seem like that much of a dude, so...
No, all the things that I attribute bad with like stuff like that when it comes to Black Clover is the sound director or whoever designed the how the dialogue should actually come across. I don't think that was the voice actors doing. Whoever the sound director is for fucking Black Clover can go die in a dump.
Hell yeah, dude.
Because they did not do a good job, at least in the very beginning. Anyway, that's the only thing I can vouch for. So.
Yo, the voice actor for that's also in Domestic Girlfriend, so you know it's gonna be good.
Oh my god!
So you know it's gonna be.
It's gonna be fire, dude.
He's got
flames.
He's got quite the list here going under his belt for all these all these shows. Like it's pretty fucking amazing. Black Clover and Domestic Girlfriend.
The range is amazing.
Two very kind of, I don't want to say controversial, at least one is, or just it's been in the public eye for one reason or another.
Yeah,
that's great.
There is just now, actually today, there was a PV for a new boxing anime that kind of looks like Megalobox. It's called Levius, and Netflix picked it up. Levius. And it looks like it's got some gear stuff going on, and I really loved Megalobox. So.
Hold on, spell that again.
Levius.
Oh man, I don't think they don't got a anime page for it yet.
Well, I'll link you on the Discord, and if you can bring it up, cool. If not, it's just a quick it seems cool.
It's got the manga page up.
It seems neat though. Like I'm sure when Netflix picks something up, it takes 8 years for us to see it, but
right,
it should be cool.
When is Neon Genesis Evangelion supposed to get on Netflix finally this year, right?
I don't know. Every time, it should be this year. I just don't know when because I have not seen it, and I was waiting. I was going to wait for that to finally jump into it.
I know it's a sin to say so, but I have not seen it yet either.
Oh, man.
Oh, wow.
That's funny. Yeah, actually, I've only seen the rebuild remake movies of Evangelion, so I've seen it, but I have also not seen it because I guess a lot of things changed from the movies versus the show. And I hear the show is a lot better than the movies were.
Yeah, I heard there's a lot going on.
Right. And I love the movies too, so I'm excited Evangelion finally get on Netflix, and so I can watch that. But yes, I love. I'm a big fan of Hajime no Ippo.
Yes.
For a long time, I'm in love with that show.
Yes.
Honestly,
Roll
anime is.
Oh my god. Yeah, I've read and I've watched the anime for Hajime no Ippo. So anything that's like that is automatically they know they're probably going to get to my good side real quick. So
for sure, it looks like there's a good cast with this too. The director did Agent, Blame, and Godzilla Planet of the Monsters. And another dude is in charge of the series composition that did Attack on Titan, Lost Girls, Seraph of the End, and Agent.
Oh.
And then the scriptwriter did Saga of Tanya the Evil and Vinland Saga, which is another show coming up that I am really hyped about. So yeah, I think it's in good hands. I think it's gonna be neat. It's definitely looks CG based.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna be alright.
Definitely, that trailer was like woo, but I think it will be done good.
Yeah,
it'll be.
Do you
CG.
think? Okay, bets now. Do you think it's going to be better or worse than Megalobox?
Oh man, well. That's a tough one, man, because Megalobox had so much artistic care put into it, with like, just like the art style, the like lower resolution, the music, like everything artistically was just so taken care of in that series. I think it'll be hard to beat Megalobox.
Yeah.
It's not like greatest boxing anime of all time, but it is very aesthetically pleasing.
For sure.
It does look really, really good.
Yeah, I'll say worse than Megalobox, but not too far behind it.
Yeah.
I think they probably need to take it in a different direction in terms of how they told the story in that anime. They can't keep making the same thing over and over again. Like when it comes to the sports stuff, I think it's really, really easy for it to get old with the duplicates and how you tell basically a shonen battle show within a sport.
Yeah, because it's not like you can really vary it up with like, you know, if you're going for regular boxing type of thing, then it's like you're not having monsters or anything like that. It's just dudes boxing other dudes. Like you can throw gears and stuff in there, but the basis of boxing is pretty much going to be the same unless you go with like Baki style, like
oh god.
But
can we really call what happens in Baki boxing?
Really.
No. Yeah, but that's definitely a different thing. But
it's like boxing battle royale.
Boxing free for all.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
But we'll see how it goes. I don't know when that's airing. I closed the tab, but keep an eye out for it. It should be pretty good.
I think that, just to build on what Jake was saying real quick, so with sports anime, I watched Kuroko's Basketball, and I can't watch another basketball anime now because it just seems like bad clones of Kuroko's Basketball. And I felt that way with Hajime no Ippo, but then I watched Megalobox and I was like, this is still really good. This isn't a bad boxing anime. So I feel like once you've cemented yourself as being a like really, really high-rated, popular sports show, you're almost never going to find another sports show that's better than that.
So you think it's like how we were talking about with Kakegurui, Kaiji? Like if you've seen Kaiji, you wouldn't like Kakegurui or whatever. Do you think it's like that? Like if you get into one thing really heavily, the others will seem like lackluster in comparison? Yeah,
like Kakegurui's cool, but like no one watches that for the gambling, dude.
Oh. If you weren't going to say that, I was. Okay. Continue.
Yeah, it's like I thought it was okay, and I haven't seen Kaiji, and I gotta watch Kaiji. But from what you have told me, I definitely see why someone who has seen Kaiji wouldn't like Kakegurui.
Yeah.
Like, the biggest gambling thing in Kakegurui is, like, the actual games they play are, like, you know, gambling games. But aside from that, it's mostly all just like, I don't want to say fan service. There's a lot of fan service, but it's mostly...
you can say that. you can.
Yeah.
Well, we were looking at that scene earlier where a girl was just saying regular stuff and was like grabbing her boob for no reason. I was like, what is going on in the show? But all right, we're getting off topic. But, yeah, basically, yeah, I know what you mean. Like, even though I think Slam Dunk, I mean, quote me if I'm wrong, but I think Slam Dunk might have higher rating than Kuroko's Basketball. So that's something to get into. Like, maybe, I don't know. I'm not saying it's better. I haven't seen either.
Right. Oh, true.
I think it can be done. It can be done. It's just it's really hard. It's really hard to kind of differentiate yourself from the others that come before it. I mean, that same can be said for all anime.
Well,
I just think it's harder for sports ones in particular, just because it's kind of almost locked in within its own world for a minute.
Okay, so that brings up a really good question for you guys. So what about mechs, though? Like, what makes you continue to go into a mech anime every season or an isekai anime every season? Like, what is it, the difference in them, or is it like the designs of the mechs, or like what makes you guys keep going in these niche specific genres, you know?
So for me, I want to go in, I constantly watch mechs because I want a show that gives me the same feeling Evangelion gave me. And it's really hard because when you think about it, that show is much more of a psychological thriller than it is a mech anime. I mean, like, the mechs are present, it's a major part, but like most of the enjoyment you get is from the psychological thriller aspect. So it's really hard to search in the mech genre for that, but just somehow the way that they use both of those elements to like make it good in Evangelion makes it so, like, when I look at other mech animes, I'm like, it might not be the same exact thing as Evangelion, but like it has the potential to still be really good. So like when when I watched Darling in the Franxx, I was like, this is pretty good. And it had that whole like overarching like thriller kind of aspect of like, oh hey, where'd all the humans go kind of thing. And like, I don't know, it was good at first, then, you know, my opinion on it was just bad at the end. But
right,
besides that, in the beginning I felt like I had found what I wanted in that show, and that's really why I watch like those types of genres. Is like, I have an emotional connection with the show that I watched, like either when I was younger or that meant a lot to me. Like with romances, for example, I'm always trying to find the next Clannad or Toradora, and it's so hard because there's so many mediocre like romance animes. But it just makes it worth it once you find that one anime that's like on par or better than one that you're like so close to.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm with you on almost all of that. Like, it's funny that you say Evangelion, because for me, that show is Code Geass.
Yeah.
Right. Like that show, I mean, you could say it's a mech anime because it has mechs all the time in every episode, and they're a main driving force for all the political struggle and the war effort. But
and the whole thing with the dude's power really made it different. Like it was original as fuck.
Right. It was kind of about how it's about how he manipulates and kind of gets ahead of his enemy. And it's about the relationships, kind of what's going on. There's a mystery. People are planning behind other people's backs. It's got best of the both worlds. And when the mech stuff happened, that was really, really cool too to watch. This have to be able to. I think you have to be able to take the mechs out of the anime, and if you can, and you think it's still a good show, then you've done it. You've established yourself.
There's always got to be some other kind of factor. Like Gurren Lagann wasn't really about the mechs, even though they got into those mechs often. Like it,
right?
Yeah, I agree. I got you. All right, let's move on. We still got a lot of stuff to get into. We talked about this a little bit before the podcast, but a couple things on That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. First things first, it got a second season. I don't think anyone's really that surprised by that. It's also getting a manga spinoff.
What?
Called, let me see. It's called That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, Another Story, Trinity of the Magic Kingdom. Really rolls off the tongue. And it centers on a girl from the Beast Kingdom of Eurazania. It says the character goes to Tempest on secret orders from Demon Lord Carrion.
Oh, okay, yeah. I can guess the end. They become friends. The end.
The end. That's what the whole show's been, man.
They like literally everyone has fucking Vegeta syndrome in the whole anime. Like literally Goku, Rimuru Tempest like defeats Vegeta every episode, and Vegeta becomes the new friend. And everyone's Vegeta except for Goku, who is the slime. That's it. That's all it is.
And then the Vegeta dude is suddenly like really humble, nice guy.
Oh yeah,
he's like, "Oh, you're so dope, Rimuru."
They become Yamcha essentially. But
yeah, they're like, "Yo, I don't want to fuck with you. You're really cool."
God, I hope it's. I hope it's not that. I hope it's good. I want to have faith in it.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Right now, I'm not feeling it.
It's
okay,
just,
so quit. Well, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's just got so many scenes that make me like kinda cringe. Like the whole like you have the scene where Malim shows up and she's kicking ass, and then Rimuru's it's so cool, dude. And then Rimuru's like, "Oh man, how do I beat her? Oh yeah, I'll just force feed her this honey that's really sweet, and she'll stop fighting me because she's like a 5-year-old." And I'm like,
wow, did you write yourself into a corner and then you didn't know what to do, so you just pulled something out of nowhere?
We've increased the power gap too high. We have to stop this somehow.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, it's weird because like Araki says that in JoJo's he's run into a corner where like somebody's way too strong like a couple of times, and then something like this where you're like, yo, your concept's not that crazy. You should have some other way to take these dudes down. Like, I don't know. I feel like writing yourself into a corner with this is
right.
weird. But but that is going to air. Does it say on there?
Oh, let me take a look here.
I think it's 2020.
Yeah, 2020. It's not a lot of information, but
yeah,
it's 2020.
If you're stoked about it, if you want to see if they can pull it back, or if you were just a fan in general, you got your second season.
Sad part is I'll probably still end up watching it.
Yes.
I'm still gonna check it out. I want it to prove that it's still got what pulled me into it, you know?
Right.
Next up, High Score Girl is getting a second season, and it's airing this year.
Oh man,
that show is
that's on my
great.
List. That's on my list. I haven't watched it yet.
It's really cool. I won't really spoil it, but I'll say that they go through these time skips of generations of games.
Okay.
So it's like they start out and it's like
the
original Street Fighter. Yeah, the original Street Fighter in the arcade. They end up getting the consoles, and it ends at I think the PlayStation, the first.
Oh,
one. So like
God,
it's
so
really
relatable
because like there's these rivalries that he has with people, and it's really cool how seriously he takes it, because like I relate to that with like my friends, where we'll get a fighting game and it's like I'm maining this guy, and then like we create these stories out of it where like the dude basically mains Guile in Street Fighter and she plays Zangief, and like they do this whole thing where like the whole series they they're like, man, I gotta really step up my Guile game because she's gonna come back stronger than ever with the Zangief, and like it's cool, man. And then there's like a love triangle. Yeah, I won't get into it anymore, but it's really they even talk about like specific things with games, like things that people would abuse in certain fighting games that they couldn't like patch out and stuff like that, and like how to get the high score on this game. And they bring you back to a lot of nostalgia too. It's a good series. I don't know what I gave it. I think I gave it like a 7 or an 8, but it was good, and I think the second season will be even better.
Yeah, it's one of those shows, from what I've seen, I haven't seen it all, but it definitely does hit you with that nostalgia stuff, man. Like, it brought me back to a few years ago when we played Injustice 2, and it was just Black Canary and Cyborg in a like 50-50 matchup, like every single time.
Over and over.
Yeah.
It's neat. I think that like it also hit me with way more feels than I was expecting. Like I kind of just thought I was gonna get woke on video games, but no, it was like some deep like relationship. This guy likes her, she likes him, type of thing. And like the main girl doesn't talk, and you still like feel for her, and it like for a show to do that, it's very good.
That's good.
Yeah. I'm really excited. I'm glad that it's coming out so soon.
Yeah, it's I really like it. It's like I find it relatable because with games like Injustice 2 and stuff like that, I always like talk smack when I meet people for the first time that I'm like good at fighting games. I'm always like, yeah, dude, I'm really fucking good at fighting games. And then it was just funny to like, when Scuba started working at the theater one time, I was like, yeah, dude, I'm really good at Street Fighter. Are you sure you want to play me? And he's like, yeah, dude. And I was like, okay, but I'm really good. And then we played, and I lost on everybody but my main. And even then, it was like 50-50. And so now every fighting game we play, it's like 50-50, with the exception of like Dragon Ball FighterZ, but that's because I put like hundreds of hours into that game, separate from like playing with Jeremy and Scuba. But it's just crazy how like I relate to it so much, because it's like I'll go and I'll hang out with someone and I'll lose, and I'll be like, fuck, man, this feels bad. And then I'll go home and I'll practice like non-stop to be able to do better. And like I just relate to that show so much, because that's what all of the characters in that show do, is they're like, oh, I'm really good at this, or oh, I lost, and then they just go back to practicing, like back on the grind.
Yeah. And they like make it, I just love that they make it a part of their everyday drama.
Yeah.
Like, it's so cool to just like, because I will really like I will come home, lay in bed, and talk to my girlfriend and be like, man, I really couldn't stop that fucking Black Canary tonight.
Yeah.
I really got to figure out how to beat that dude, because I can't be a scrub forever.
Or like when we had our like hundreds of game mirror match with Snake and Bowser Jr. in Smash, and then I just kept losing over and over and over again one night. And then, like, the next day I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go back to playing Zero Suit Samus. And then I started winning again. Yeah. And then it was like...
a whole nother... It's like arcs. It's literally like a shonen.
yeah, dude. Fighting games are dope.
Yeah, fighting games are dope. High Score Girl is dope. Check it out. I think Season 2 is gonna be great. I didn't know they had a PV for it, so... check that out too, if that's what that is. Moving on, I'm really excited about this. I saw this last night. Peacemaker. There's a show coming out. Let me see if I can find an easier way to say this, because it's long. It's called Special Crime Investigation Unit Special 7. But the PV basically the vibes I got were like Psychopaths mixed with Bebop.
I was gonna say, is this like a gender swapped Psychopaths here?
Yeah, it's super super cool. Like yeah, I can link you with the.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm not finding it anywhere.
All right, I got you. There's the video.
Okay,
But
cool.
basically what I got from it is that there's like a squad of characters just like Psychopaths, and they just kind of showed off that they have guns and stuff, and it had like a jazzy bebop thing going on.
Oh my god, yeah.
And there's even a character that looks like Spike. And you know, I said this on Twitter last night. If anything has any kind of resemblance to Bebop whatsoever, I'm signing on board. I'm there. I'm with you till the end. I don't care how bad it gets. I'm there.
Ooh,
Like,
man, I like that art style.
yeah, it really looks cool.
I like the shading. Very, very nice. But yeah, like that intro sequence is like 1-for-1 Bebop. Like,
Yeah.
instantly I was like, holy shit. They really did have an inspiration for the show.
Oh yeah,
like,
and this is muted. This ain't even with the fucking jazzy
With the
jams.
jazzy. Yeah, I think it's gonna be really cool. I think that airs in.
oh my god, it kind of looked like they took Spike and then the guy from Psychopaths and mushed him into one character.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not a bad thing either, but yeah, that definitely. Instantly, I think I'm gonna definitely keep up with that.
They got that sniper dude dressed up like Snake.
Yeah.
I saw this year, so
yeah, something this year. It was the dude from Fate Apocrypha, Sailor Moon director.
Oh, okay.
And Mazinger Z.
Oh,
So
okay.
I think it's in good hands. I think it's going to be neat. I don't even know if it's going to end up being one of the bigger shows, but on the style alone,
God, it looks so good.
I'm in there.
It's smooth, man. Smooth.
Yeah. So keep up for that. And last on the news bit is something we were already talking about earlier, but Baki.
Oh my god, Baki.
Second season.
Oh my. Now, have you guys seen all of Baki, or at least what's on Netflix right now?
Yeah.
You have? Okay. They stopped it at a weird fucking spot. Like, really weird.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't even the climax of the story they were trying to tell, and they just kind of ended it at that episode. It was really odd, but this show makes me feel things that, like, I don't know if I'm gonna feel or not, to be honest.
It's weird because the vibe is like you originally think that you're jumping into like another JoJo's because everyone's just like ripped for no reason. Even the poster, you're like, yo, it's just dudes with muscles filling up the entire screen.
There are muscles on top of muscles, dude. Muscles have muscles.
Yeah, dude.
God, but it feels so different. It feels it's. I don't think there's anything that's quite like Baki, like how they tell the story, and what the story is about. It's just it's insane. It's absolutely insanity. It's like watching a train crash.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't keep my eyes off it, but god damn, it's good though.
Yeah, it's good.
It's really good.
I'm stoked that they picked it up. I like I have such a love-hate with Netflix picking up anime because I feel like a good example is the vampire show that just happened a couple seasons ago.
Castlevania?
No, what is that called? Hang on a sec. What was that? Sirius the Jaeger. Sirius the Jaeger. Netflix picked it up, and like it's one of the shows that aired that season,
I think it flew under the radar.
Well, yeah, it's like nobody talked about it, and I feel like it was because when they pick something up, like Kakaguri this season, for example, they pick it up, and when it's actually technically airing, it's not airing, and then they drop it like, you know, month or two after the season actually airs, and it's like, oh man, I meant to care about this a couple months ago, now I don't have time. But seriously, Jaeger was a solid show, or I checked out like a half of it so far, and it's really good. I just never heard anyone talk about it, and like that's the thing with Netflix, is like, it's cool they picked up Baki, and it's cool they picked up the new season, but I don't really know if anyone's really going to be talking about it, because like nobody, I guess, is really talking about it now.
No. The way they're handling their licensing sucks ass.
Yeah,
it like
stinks. They throw out their anime like it's a big deal, you know, like they throw out or maybe it's just the algorithm that I watch a lot of anime on there, so hey, watch this, but like I feel like they show off their anime really well, but I don't think they promote it.
No, they don't.
Like they're never like, hey, check it out, we just put Seven Deadly Sins' new season up. Like I had to have my homies tell me that the Seven Deadly Sins season was put up there, because I didn't even know.
It was
and
just
it's like
in like a flood of non-important anime, and then like on the third page it's like,
right,
oh.
They're like, we also put up Seven Deadly Sins' second season, and it's like, yo, you're talking about this like it's not one of the like hyper shows that everyone's talking about. But yeah, I don't know, I definitely love-hate with Netflix on that, but
for sure. But
I think that they are also giving things chances that like they normally wouldn't receive.
Oh right,
you know?
I mean, I'm definitely thankful for Netflix for picking up a lot of the licenses that kind of no one would touch, like Baki. I mean,
yeah,
God,
I feel like we probably wouldn't have gotten this second season otherwise.
I mean, just with the content that happens in Baki, I don't think this couldn't really air.
Dude, I was sold on that scene where he shoved the bullets in the dude's mouth and uppercut it.
God damn it.
I was like, oh, dude.
It makes me feel weird. Whenever I'm watching like one of the prisoners fight, I feel weird on the inside. Like it makes me feel weird. I can't explain it. Like I can't. It's baffling, but I cannot stop watching it. So it's so good.
I think the thing with Netflix is like their most popular anime probably was Devilman, and
I feel like they promoted the shit out of Devilman and Castle.
Yeah, but
probably because they're such big names already.
They promoted Devilman so much that I had a conversation on Facebook with someone the other day where I posted my top 20 anime of all time, and I had Devilman in there, and they were like, yeah, Devilman isn't an anime. And I was like, what are you talking about? And they're like, yeah, it was made by Netflix. And I was like, nah, it wasn't made by Netflix. It was just licensed by Netflix. Like, come on, man.
It was weird because he was nice and like educated the person, and I jumped in with a GIF that was just like, no.
Oh my god. I fucking saw that conversation.
I felt really bad because after I dropped the GIF, the person was like, oh, thank you so much for helping me understand. And I was like, man, I was really an asshole.
You know, I thought about saying something too. And because I got like way more offended than I should have for some reason.
Yeah. It was weird and out of nowhere.
Yeah, I felt the rage inside me, but then I'm like, nope, this is going to lead. I'm just going to let Brandon handle this.
Yeah, let him handle it. It's definitely one of those situations like when you have someone that doesn't watch anime a lot try to give you like a critical opinion,
right? And
you're just like, it's one of those rages where it's like, you're just like, man, you do not watch enough for me to even care about your opinion.
Well, it was strange because they started off so aggressive.
Yeah.
Like it was like what? It was like, what? Devilman's not an anime. And it was just like, dude, relax. What?
Yeah.
And then like all of a sudden the switcheroo when Brandon was like, nah man, it's just licensed by him. It is an anime. They were like, oh, fair enough, sorry. I was like, man, you don't really get that a lot. Usually people just stick to their guns online, but yeah, right. it was weird.
Like, then you're going to tell me that Avatar isn't it? Yeah. Just hit him up with that. And then you win. That's instant. You instantly win.
Dang.
All right, now that the anime news is out of the way, let's hit up a couple questions that I thought were really interesting. So first of all, I guess the easier question to answer is, like, do you guys feel like anime is embarrassing? Now, it's like, I know that on premise alone, obviously, you know, we are doing this podcast, like, we shouldn't have shame in the fact that we're watching anime, but like, I'll go ahead and give my answer first so you guys know what I mean. So I think that in a way anime is embarrassing, and like, I don't talk about anime to someone that doesn't talk about it with me, you know, someone that doesn't bring it up to me. I'm not like, hey, yeah, I'm watching anime and I'm watching this show that's like this. Like, I don't really do that. And I don't really watch it in public because of the certain tropes and fan service, and like, it's really, really fucking hard to explain to somebody what the appeal is, especially because like okay, Free, the swimming anime.
Free.
There's no fucking way that I can go up to somebody that I work with and be like, yeah, I've been watching Free, check out this opening, and them not be like, yo, you are into some gay shit. You know? Like, it's hard to explain to them the appeal of these shows, you know?
Yeah, I feel like as long as you're not like watching Senran Kagura uncensored in the middle of like a library or something, you're probably good.
Well, I mean, like, even stuff like Devilman, like, I don't even mean like, I don't know.
Not even the donkey scene?
Yeah. Oh, no. But I mean, like, even regular stuff like, I don't know.
No, I completely get what you're saying.
It's just like, if it's not in the norm for them, then it's definitely weird.
It's out of the range what they can conceive as something to be like enjoyable to them. I mean, it's just like out of their zone.
And it's, yeah, exactly. And it's like, I don't want to push that on you because, like, you know, you'll get into it if you want to get into it.
Right.
But it's such a specific thing that you need to, like, kind of like, it's like, hey, watch Death Note or My Hero Academia, and if you like those, then like,
then come back.
Hear about it, yeah. And then I'll show you Baki and shit.
Yeah,
we'll evolve from.
We'll go from Death Note to Baki.
That's a big jump.
I kind of agree with what Jeremy said in the chat that anime is taking off in the mainstream, and it's not embarrassing if you carry yourself the right way. I do, however, feel like it's not to the level of like sports yet, where you can just bring up, oh, hey, you watched the football game yesterday? Like, you can't just do that with anyone. Like, with sports, you can be like, hey, you watched this game yesterday? They're like, oh, no, I don't watch football. Okay, fair enough. The anime, if you're like, you watched the new season of My Hero? Like, if you say that to a random stranger, they're either gonna be like, oh, yeah, that season was dope, or like, the fuck is that?
Yeah, you're gonna get either one of those two reactions. There's not a middle.
Yeah,
definitely, for sure.
Yeah, like, it's definitely way cooler in people's eyes than it was, you know, back when
like 5 years
FLCL and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, even really, like,
even then,
before My Hero, it was like
around like Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece, when those were really starting to blow up in America. Was it really starting to kind of webbing across the American norm, like just a little bit. Like it wasn't even that much because those are monster series now. Yeah. And even an idiot on the street has probably heard of what Naruto is at one point, even if they haven't watched it. But,
yeah.
And well, that's the thing though, is like even somebody that just checked out a little bit of Naruto or what has nostalgic moments with Dragon Ball Z when they were getting home from school, like you could talk to them about anime and they could either be like, yeah, I know about anime, and then they don't, or they say, yo, yeah, I have no idea what's going on, I just watched Dragon Ball. And I mean, like, I can even say, like, you guys back in school, like, you were super into anime. And my thing was I just watched Bebop and Dragon Ball and, like, FLCL and stuff. Like, I was basically just a Toonami dude. And, like, it had not much of an interest in getting into anything else. And then, like, in the last 2 years was when I really started to get into it. And, like, I guess maybe that's why I have the opinion that, like, it, in a way, it is kind of embarrassing. But I'm also not the dude that if somebody was like, hey, are you into anime? I'm not going to lie and say I'm not. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm doing the podcast. Like, I dedicate so much time of my day to anime and manga that, like, I'm not lying about it. But I guess I'm just not really, like, carrying myself as that dude.
Right. Like what you said earlier resonated with me a little bit because I used to be the same way, where it's almost like I'll use an example here. A couple years ago, when I worked at a different job, I was working with one of my an associate every day for like maybe 6 months, and then like finally one day, like I just randomly asked because I was just dying to know because we never talked about anything. I'm like, do you watch anime? And then they did, and it like exploded. Like all it took was just for someone to say, just to say it.
Yeah,
And it's always kind of been that way. Like in high school, I watched a shit ton of anime, but I never talked about it with anyone. Because I didn't know, who watched anime, and I sure hell wasn't going to ask either. But
yeah, exactly. That you could immediately throw yourself into the category. There were some, borderline cringy people that we went to school with that were a different kind of anime fan.
Oh, for sure.
Like you don't. I mean. No offense to them, like they're doing them and everything, but like you don't want to come across as that kind of person, and just suddenly not be spoken to again. Yeah. So especially in school, like we can ignore it all we want, but like all it takes is something to happen for people to just be like, that kid is fucking weird.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely feel that because in like thinking back to high school, there were people in class when we were in high school that, like there was a girl that would bring in like Rosario Vampire and D Gray Man manga, and people made fun of her for it. And there was a dude in our art class that wanted to make his life goal to just draw like manga, and people made fun of him for it. So like, growing up before in high school and like 2000, like mid 2000s, late 2000s, growing up then and being an anime fan was like, if you ask someone if they liked anime and they said no, you were like kind of thrown in with the people who were getting made fun of, so you never really wanted to come out about it. Now it's like you see dudes in high school on TikTok like fucking flossing with Deku shirts on, or like fucking like Millie rocking with All Might, and you're just like, it's surreal to me because it's like, it's no longer a, oh, you like anime, you like this nerdy stuff, we're gonna make fun of you. It's a, oh yeah, that's cool, that's like the normal thing now. And it's always kind of like, I don't want to say bugged me, but I've always kind of been like, I don't know, it's hard for me to catch up like with the pace of things and how quickly it's becoming normalized.
Right. I mean, it always tore me up inside that I couldn't like almost be myself, because that was such a big part of me, was all the experiences I had through, you know, video games and anime. So like I feel like I couldn't really be open. But like once I, you know, you meet someone, like nowadays I want to say I'm more or less gotten over that. Where,
Yeah.
Like I like if someone introduced me, you know, like, hey, this is blah blah blah, you know, they're a good friend of mine or whatever. I'm like, all right, cool. Do you watch anime? And then, you know, I'll get that answer straight away, because I'm going to find out real quick whether or not I'm going to get along with this person.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you invest enough time into it, and it's like, you know, it is a part of your life, as like corny as that can sound.
Right.
But like, I mean, it's a big interest. It's just like sports. Like, it's a completely, it's its own world, really.
Yeah. That's
I would never go. Yeah.
I'm not as embarrassed about it anymore. There's definitely some things I would be embarrassed about, like watching an episode in public and having people be like, the fuck's going on? Especially with shows like JoJo. Like, you can't, it's really hard to
and cherry scene.
Yeah, it's really hard to explain that. But
oh my God.
There's definitely, like, with the whole when you said you ask people, do you watch anime when you first meet them? Whenever we hire someone new at work, that's one of the first things I ask them. So when we hired one of our coworkers, Hannah, and I was like, hey, do you watch anime? And she was like, not a lot, but I've seen, like, and I was expecting her to say, like, Dragon Ball Z or something, like, super normie. And she goes, not a lot, but I've seen, like, Fruits Basket. I was like, oh,
that's hype.
Oh, so like, like my immediate reaction was like, oh, so you would be like down to get into more anime, and like now she's watching like My Hero when I didn't think she would, and
yes, that is really cool. Like, it's super cool to see somebody like come, like, she came up to us and was like, guys, I want to get into more anime, and we were like, what? This is
so
like
good.
A dream come true. Let me hit you with some sauce.
Yeah, for sure.
When you kind of were making it vocal on social media that you were like really finally getting into it, you know, a long while ago.
Yeah, like I think my first post was like, my friend Jeremy has me watching Hunter x Hunter, and like, what the fuck? This show's crazy.
Fucking Hunter x Hunter is like one of my all-time favorites.
Incredible.
But yeah, like it was super cool to see that you were getting into that. Was really excited. But I mean, I still wouldn't go up to someone like randomly on the street and just like, you watch anime? And then they're gonna give me a look like, don't come near my child or some shit like that, you know. But there's always going to be those, like, you know, there's even videos of people like that make fun of these very, very real instances of where you're just in your room, you're watching anime, your parents walk in, and it's just that right moment where it's like that fan service panty shot, and normally they would never happen in the anime that you're currently watching. But it's just at that right moment, and someone walks right in and they're like, I'm not jacking off or anything. I swear to God.
Dude, that happens all the time, man. Like,
it's so bad.
I still live at home. I live with my grandparents still, so I am that stereotypical dude in his 20s that lives at home still. But I can't tell you how many times I've been watching something and something wild like that happens, and my grandpa comes in like, hey, when you gotta be to work? And I'm just like,
yo.
Yeah, I'm like,
It's funny. I'm so glad I'm with someone that she doesn't necessarily watch anime, but she has watched anime with me, and she gets why I like it.
Exactly. That's what I was just about to say.
Right. And she's completely comfortable with it, and with all like the spectrums. Like she gets like what's going on and why some of these things happen.
Yeah.
But you know, there are these really cool moments when I'll be watching obviously there's only a certain selection of anime I can watch during the day with my kids in the room. But when I do, and one or two of them are like they love the animation and they sit down, and even though it's in subtitled and it's Japanese, they're still like watching it with me. And it's like, oh,
yeah, that's neat, man.
I'm corrupting them very, very early.
It's that's so cool, man. Because like when I was younger and growing up with gaming and watching anime, I was always like, man, it'd be so dope if like my mom or my dad was just super into like StarCraft or was like super into like watching anime.
Oh,
and like it's just crazy because now it's to the point now where my mom's boyfriend and my mom watch the podcast. They watch our videos, our VODs, and he's always like, you gotta watch this show. Have you watched My Hero Academia? And it's like, yes, I've watched it, obviously, but like it's really cool to see someone who's like an older adult be like, yo, have you watched Black Clover? You watched Dragon Ball Super? Have you watched My Hero Academia? I think it's just really cool to see that. I don't think you see it often, and I think now that's becoming more normal. It's really cool.
Right. It's just it does stink that there's. It feels like it will never be quite up to the caliber where you were saying earlier, where people can just talk about sports.
Yeah.
Like if someone asks me about sports and they're quite obviously the person that's like really religious about football, it's almost the opposite with me. When they say like, "Oh, are you into sports?" and I say no, instantly in my head, I'm like, that person's a meathead. He's not. He is not gonna have anything in common with me. And they're like, "Oh, okay." And then instantly, it's almost like two regular adult males in the current what society thinks an adult male is. If you can't talk about sports, you can't talk about anything else.
Yeah.
Instantly there's silence. But I don't know. Maybe one day we'll get to that point. But
yeah,
I just know personally,
we're on a good pace.
Right. It's going good. I don't feel tied down by the anxieties I once had over loving anime. Like I'll wear my Naruto jacket out in public, and people will give me honks on the street, like, hey, it's Hokage, like, just something dumb like that. And I'm like,
it is cool. Snorlaxicus got me a Bakugo keychain.
Oh, that's nice.
And like I always wear it, and like I don't often get praise for it or anything like that, but when somebody does hit me with, is that Bakugo? I'm like, yo.
I wish people recognized my keychains, because I got fucking Ryoko from God damn it. Why am I blanking on it? Ryoko, Satsuki. It's a Trigger anime.
Oh man.
It's about the suits.
Damn.
It's like one of my favorite anime too. I hate myself.
Kill la Kill.
Yes, Kill la Kill.
Oh yeah.
I got like a little chibi Ryoko on my keychain, and I have like fucking 3 different Haruhi Suzumiya like tags. But like I really wish someone just come up to me. Is that Haruhi on your keychain there?
It's one like, for every day of the endless 8.
Oh man, like it's literally like a cat and 9 tails of like lanyards with all the anime shit I have like hanging off of it for sure.
Dang.
But yeah.
All right. Yeah. So I mean, I think we covered that pretty well. So back in the day was rough. Now better. We're getting there. Maybe when we're it's gonna really blow if we're like 45, 50, and then everyone's about the anime shit. And we're 50 years old, like what?
We're like 50 and we're like, man, you guys watch like football?
Y'all watching football? No. But My Hero Academia's 1,000 episode was great.
No, what it's going to be is, you know how people like talk about like old fucking TV and movies used to be like, oh, back in my day, I used to watch The Good, Bad, and the Ugly, and that's all the action I needed. It's going to be like that with us. Like,
oh no!
all I needed was Death Note, and that was all the psychological thriller I could stomach in a day. But now these kids.
But then Devilman came around.
Like, all of our stuff. We'll be like, Gurren Lagann was dope, and they're like, wow, you
have shit
really, you really like Gurren Lagann? Okay, 2007 was the year, wasn't it?
like the kid like has his friends and he's like turns to them. He's like, I'm sorry, my grandpa's really into Gurren Lagann.
Yeah,
you just gotta really just let him talk about it, and then it'll be fine. I swear.
My grandpa thinks Bebop was cool as fuck, and like it's embarrassing, but like,
no, Bebop is like the fucking Michael Jackson of
anime. Bebop really is gonna be timeless as fuck. Like
you cannot say anything bad about Bebop, and you probably will get hanged if you do. So.
Yeah, for sure. I'm about that life. All right, moving on. Last question. Do spoilers ruin shows? And this is a specifically important question because Snorlaxicus loves spoilers in anything. Movies, games. Fuck it up for him. He doesn't give a shit. And as my friend, that's very cool because I can be like, yo, you're not Psycho this season? Well, let me tell you what happened. And he's like, hit me with it. And it's like, that's so cool. But at the same time, I am a very like, do not fuck that up for me unless I'm like, unless I have like minor interest in it. But lately, since I've been reading manga, it's like it's kind of hit me in a different way. So like Fire Force, like obviously, reading that, I'm like knowing what's going to happen, and that's sort of tying with the question like, do you read ahead in My Hero Academia? See what's gonna happen when the season airs in October. Like, do spoilers ruin shows for you? And I'll be right back if one of you want to take over because I gotta go to the restroom.
Well, I'll let you talk about that since my stance on it is opposite from both of yours.
Well, I'm with him. Like, I think the way you experience anime in particular is all about your preconceived notion of it, and I sincerely believe that if an anime was coming out and I looked at how it was getting rated even a little bit, it would affect my enjoyment of it.
Ooh, just the rating?
Right. I don't like if I see a score like 5 out of 10, then immediately I like it might be just because I'm insane, but I think I will think in my head like, oh no, I've already created the idea that it might not be as good as I could be without me seeing anything.
Oh, well,
so like on that crazy level, yeah, I do not want to know anything about anything anywhere. I just want to stumble upon it in the wild and then experience it.
Yeah, that's kind of what me and Scuba were talking about earlier. So there's an anime out this season that has a score of 6 out of 10 average on my anime list, and it's called The Price of Smiles. And I watched it today and was like, this is like almost a 9 out of 10. I was like, I don't know where people are getting these bad ratings from. And me and him were talking about it at work, and he was like, you know, now it makes me think about all of the other shows that I've seen that were 5 or 6 out of 10 average rating, and I've been like, wow, that's trash. It's gonna be trash. And yeah, I can agree with that. I think that when you see a rating and it is bad, you're immediately going to go into it thinking it's bad. But I also think that if you do that and it turns out to be good, it's a really good feeling to be like, damn, I was proved wrong.
Right.
Well,
I do believe that can happen as well, for sure.
Well, the weird thing about it is that they say that if it's under a 7 on my anime list, then like you might as well throw it in the dumpster. But technically, like, I think the rating system with my anime list is like, I mean, yes, it's out of 10, so like take that however you want, but like a 5 is average and then a 4 is considered bad. So it's weird to be like anything under a 7 is bad when technically it's like, I think good or okay, I think it's 6. I can't remember how it goes, but it's basically positive. Like, it's like, this is pretty good. So it's weird that they were like, below a 7, fuck that show. And I really look at it that way, and I'm like, a 6.8. I'm not watching that stupid shit. But you know, like, but that's the good thing about our whole like seasonal thing that we're doing is like we're watching stuff that is bad because it's bad. So if it ends up being better, then great. But
yeah,
I just showed up, so I don't know what you guys were actually talking about. But
I mean that was that was pretty much it. But yeah.
So for me, like the ratings, I don't really have a big issue with. I don't have a big issue with spoilers in any kind. Like for example, what I'll do sometimes is if I'm watching a show that I really, really, really like, for example, My Hero, I watched all of season 2. And then immediately started reading the manga a little bit. But in the manga, they're like filler chapters. So like you get like it's like it takes a while to get actually caught up to where like the story would be. So what I did, which I don't recommend anybody do this, but I've done this since I was a kid, and it doesn't affect how I feel about the show at all. But I would just be like, wow, I really wonder what happens with this character. And then I would go to like the fan Wikipedia and look and just be like, oh, this happens. And then when I eventually get to it in the manga, I'm like, oh shit, that was wild. Because for me, I like experiencing like the build up to the climax rather than the actual climax. So like, I'm not gonna spoil it, but for example, the big thing that happens in Clannad, I looked it up before I finished Clannad.
Oh no!
But I still enjoyed Clannad to the point I gave it a 10 out of 10. And like when that scene happened, I was still emotionally invested, and I feel like I would have been even if I hadn't like looked ahead.
Okay, I know what you're talking about. So you think you would have still been as emotionally invested as you would have been otherwise?
Yeah, and like for example, if I'm thinking shows that I didn't do that for, like Anohana, I didn't do any spoilers for. I just watched it beginning to end, and I felt the same way at the end of that show as I did watching Clannad. So for me personally, I don't think spoilers ruin shows. If someone tells me something, I might jokingly be like, oh man, you spoiled it for me. But everyone knows I'm the dude that likes spoilers. So like, I'm not going to get mad at people when they're like, oh, this happened in this show. I can definitely respect the idea of people watching a show and wanting to be surprised and not wanting any spoilers. But for me personally, whether or not I look it up doesn't really affect how I feel.
Huh, I see. It's funny that you used that example from earlier, because even though I do currently avoid spoilers like the plague, before I was ever into Berserk, the event, we'll just say that. The event. I knew somewhat about the event before ever.
Man.
Yeah, before ever encountering Berserk. Like, I didn't know any details. I just knew something very, 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 very fucked up.
Yeah.
Happens, and I'm
Okay.
I'm like, all right.
Oh, so you didn't know like the grasp, like the
no. So
real...
right, none of that.
Okay.
But it did kind of built that up to me. I'm like, all right, when is this going to happen? When am I going to get scarred for life? And I think I can say that it did make it better for me. But yeah.
Yeah, I feel. Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, you're good. And I think the only other time where I've actually read the whole manga and then watched the whole anime, kind of not side by side, but soon close together, was Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Okay.
And I think I enjoyed both a lot for very different reasons, but I did appreciate the build up, because if an anime is done correctly and it honors the manga, then it's gonna be as good as I think, without the manga, I believe. But if it does it like Soul Eater, where the Soul Eater manga was good and they completely ruined the fucking anime, then obviously you're gonna have different experience there.
Yeah.
So but someone outright like spoiling something for me, I mean, if I want to give some leeway to it, it probably depends on the kind of spoiler.
Yeah, you're right. Like something like the Berserk one, like you're saying,
right?
That is like, don't ever
right.
Like, I watched the first 2 Berserk movies with my friends, and then I think I waited like months before we got around to the last one, and it was randomly like, I was like, yeah, it's pretty good, man. It's on some cool like fantasy shit. And then like my friend was like, yo, wait, hold on, have you watched the last movie? And I was like, no. And I feel like I got the gist. He was like, no, dude, we need to watch that last movie right now. We watched the last movie, and I was like, oh shit, this is so different. And he was like, yeah, dude, that is like, I can't believe you went so long without watching that last movie. And I was like, I just thought it was the same stuff. And no, it's mega crucial. Like, completely changes the game.
It needs to be said that Berserk has that weight of where the whole anime is good, or I want to say the whole manga is good.
Yeah,
but it's famous for having this one big like event in the story, where it's so monumental that people like will reference it forever. And
it's so wild that it's so early in the manga. Like, that event and that Golden Age arc is it's like a big small portion.
Right, it's like a prelude to like the main to
the woods.
And
it's like a flashback.
It's crazy because it's like with Berserk, it starts out as like a fantasy combat-esque like mastermind type show where like you have dudes that are like really, really skilled at combat going up against other armies, and it's like you actually get that view inside of someone's head when they're like commanding, and
you're mostly just following a mercenary group.
And
it's just doing regular shit.
It's like that is the genre. It's like I'm gonna go ahead and call it this medieval grimdark fantasy. Well, in the beginning, it isn't even that grimdark. It's just medieval fantasy. It's got some dark elements to it, but
it's got some gratuitous violence.
Yeah, you've got some pretty crazy shit, like Nosferatu's Odd. You got the weird rapey gorilla guy. Like, there's some very weird stuff going on. But it's not like what happens after the event.
Because, I mean, after that, then just fucking anything is up for grabs.
Yeah. And I feel like
anything can happen.
I feel like at that point, it was so monumental that it shifted the genre of the entire series to be more fantasy, like magical inspired. Like you were just dealing with humans and the occasional mention of Nosferatu Zod, and it was just like you were dealing with human conflict, and then in like 2 episodes it turns from human conflict to crazy shit that's like wild, and that's how it stays. So it's like it starts out almost normal, and then just in the middle, just bam, hits you, changes gears. Yeah. For me, with that scene, I had known about it before I watched the show as well.
I didn't know that.
Oh, that I knew about it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I had knew about that scene before I had watched the show. But like Jake was saying, every time something like big would happen, like I would be like, oh man, is this when this is gonna happen? That's crazy. So like the best example I can give, which is this is spoilers here for whoever's listening, so if you don't want to hear this, just mute your mic or mute your stream for a second. But the biggest thing for me is when Guts was fighting the 100 dudes in the forest, and I didn't know exactly what had caused this event to happen, but I knew that it was going to happen at some point. So I thought that Guts fighting in that forest was gonna be when it happened.
Oh, that would be crazy.
And the whole time, like, I watched the show with that suspense where it was like, oh man, this is gonna happen. And there were so many instances where it seemed like it could happen or it was going to happen, but then it didn't until like the very end. So,
okay, so that's a cool element to the question, though, is like, yeah, you could have something spoiled, but also when is it going to happen?
Yeah.
Also, it's like, I don't like knowing that X character is going to die or X character is going to like betray the squad or something like that. Yeah. Like, I hate knowing stuff like that because I'm like, okay, at that point, I'm not excited and trying to figure out when the person's going to die or when the person's going to betray him. I'm more just like, wow, I can't believe this is happening. Like, there was, when I was watching Hunter x Hunter, my friend Jeremy tried to, he really fucked me up one day. In my group chat with my friend, he said, hey, it's really this isn't a spoiler because it's not real, but just want to say that now so I don't fuck up Hunter x Hunter for anybody. But, he was like, yeah, it's really crazy when Killua dies, bro. Or no, he said Kurapika. And I was like, that was my favorite. No, he did say Killua. And I was like, what? And he was like, oh shit, I forgot Steven's in this chat. And I was just like, dude, are you serious? And I started watching the show still, but I was like very clearly upset. Like, I was like watching the show, just watching Gon and Killua hang out, and I was like, yo, this is stupid, man. I'm just not even fucking ready for like, I'm not even excited about this show anymore because I just know that Killua was gonna die. And then like a couple days later, I was like, yeah, dude, I hope you know, like, we were living together, and I was like, dude, I hope you know that, like, I'm still really pissed off about the Killua spoiler. And he goes, oh, dude, that, I was just kidding, man. And I was like, what? No fucking way, man. And then I completely enjoyed the show again. And I was like, man, there were so many cute moments between those two where I was just mad because I knew he was gonna die, and it wasn't even like that. So it just completely fucked up that entire arc for me, man.
It was like when Netflix started your Durarara on the 3rd season instead of the 2nd.
Yeah. So they had that whole, like, they have the first season of Durarara, and then you click Durarara X2, and they took out the 2nd and 3rd season.
Why?
And just have the 4th season.
What the
And, like, I started the episode, and it, like, even hit me with a backup thing, and I was like, I don't remember any of that. And then like, it just kept going on with the episode, and like something really serious had happened, and I was like, why is this character like this? And I was like, oh no, I think this is the wrong season. And it's not even like they say, you know, part 1, part 2, part 3. They just call it like Ketsu 10 and some other shit. So I'm like, I don't know what that means. And it was just stupid. And even to this day, they just have that first and the fourth part. And I'm like, I don't know why you even bothered to keep the fourth part.
They must have lost the rights somehow. It's so weird.
They must. I mean, they're just gonna make a lot of people that want to get into it.
Oh yeah, very mad.
But yeah, I mean, so would you guys say that like you? So you said you only read the manga of Full Metal closely with when you were watching it, right?
Right.
So
I mean,
are you saying like it's fine, and you'll read something like that's coming out soon, or something like that, or are you usually like, I'm gonna watch it first? And
if I know it's going to come out soon, then I'll wait for the anime, just because I've watched way more anime than I ever will read manga. Yeah. Though even though I do love reading manga, I just want to give the anime a chance first and see if that will wow me. Because if the anime will convince me, then I will consider going to the manga, just to kind of, if I'm feeling impatient enough to get ahead in the story, just because I really want to figure it all out. But yeah, I think one of the other things that really gets me is if people tell me there's a twist. I mean, this could go with anything, but if they tell me there's a twist, I will spend the entire anime trying to figure out what the twist is. And I'm not trying to boast because I'm a jackass, but I'm pretty good at guessing the twists. Mm-hmm. Usually, if I know there is one, and I will go mad crazy trying to figure that shit out.
Yeah.
Like if someone told me, I guess maybe spoilers for Spider-Man: Homecoming. If this can, this is definitely a spoiler. If someone fucking told me that there was a twist in fucking Spider-Man: Homecoming, it would have completely ruined the weight of when he goes to the house and it's fucking Vulture, you know?
Yeah.
Like that would ruin it for me. In the theater when I watched that, it fucking blew my goddamn mind.
Yeah, there's like nothing leading up to that makes you feel it's about to go down.
Right, like my mouth dropped to the floor. Like my wife turned and looked at me, and like I was having a spasm. like it excited me so much that the fucking movie like just tore me out of what I thought was happening, and just threw that shit at me, and it made so much sense too.
Yeah, I think if there is like a twist type of thing going on, like another.
Oh yeah.
Like if I were to just be like, I'm about to watch this, but I'm gonna read it first, like I think I would have way less fun watching the show.
Right. I think half the fun with a show like that is trying to figure it out, because it comes out the gate telling you that it's a mystery and that everyone's trying to figure it out. Like I've made friends watch that show, and I'm like, all right, try and guess and see who it is. We'll watch the whole fucking shit.
Yeah.
And then I get to watch their fucking heads explode at the very end.
That was cool.
One example I have is that it's gonna be kind of spoilers too for My Hero Academia. Yeah, I can't talk about spoilers ruining shows without spoiling things. So, the My Hero Academia All for One versus One for All fight, I read in the manga before it was animated, and the manga fight's pretty cool, but the animation was just so much better. Like, don't get me wrong, like I can't really be like the manga fight wasn't as good, because obviously it's animation versus like a drawing. But
it's unfair. Yeah.
Right. But for me, even though I had seen the fight before it was animated, I was still super hype when it was animated and enjoyed it more than I did in the manga. So, like, I don't necessarily know if I would have enjoyed it even more if I hadn't read ahead and was just, like, you know, caught off guard by it. Probably because I thought the animation was better than the manga, but, yeah, for me, I enjoyed it either way, and, like I said, I understand why people hate spoilers. I just personally I like knowing what happens and then piecing together why it happens.
I gotcha. Like, if I'm trying to get someone to watch a show, it's really hard to resist the urge to get them to watch it.
Yeah.
Like, if they're very against it. Like, I have a friend who absolutely refuses to watch One Punch Man. Like, he hates the art style. He hates the way it's...
the new season's gonna...
Yeah. He hates the way the characters are drawn. He hates the author. Like, he just hates
Whoa, he hates one?
Yeah, he hates everything made by the author.
Is this the dude you worked with that loves bad stuff?
No, completely different person. Yeah.
I was gonna say, it's completely ironic if he loved bad stuff and hated good stuff.
Right.
He's like, oh yeah, fuck that shit, dude.
No, but yeah. And it's funny because at this point, it's been so many years since that came out. I can't tell at this point he still hates it because it's out of principle, just to piss me off because he likes seeing me squirm,
Yeah.
or if he truly just hates it. I just want to tell him about like some of the fights and be like, oh my god, you don't know.
Oh yeah, that
You
last
just don't
fight
know.
especially. Holy shit, man.
The last fight's really good, but one of my favorite moments is when him and Genos are training.
Oh yeah.
And he's just playing around. He stops short of punching Genos, and then you look behind him and it's fucking like as far as the eye can see is flat land from the force of his punch not landing. Like just some of that shit. Like that really can appeal to the kind of Dragon Ball-esque kind of feel. Like,
oh yeah, definitely.
Sorry,
my bad. I was gonna say in terms of action, in that show, the opening like dream sequence is what pulled me into that show.
Oh yeah,
Like, yeah,
that's really good.
How well that is animated, and like how crazy it is. It's on some of that Mob Season 2 stuff that I've seen that Scuba was showing me the other day.
Now that you remind me of that, he does that in fucking season 1 of Mob as well, where like I think it's like the future, or they make you think it's the future, and it's obviously like Mob, but he's like overtaken, like he went 100%, and he's just like destroying everything around him.
Oh yeah.
And then they cut away, and it's like present day, and we haven't gotten to that point yet. But it's funny on how both of his kind of creations, he's used that kind of hook, to kind of reel you in to watch the show.
It's cool because you think that Mob is just gonna be another One Punch Man, and then like as the story goes on, you really understand that they couldn't be more different.
It's so much more. It's so much. It's very wholesome.
It's so much more. Like, you know how we were saying One Punch Man's not really about Saitama. The supporting cast really makes that show. But like, yeah, the supporting cast is good in Mob, but like, there's so much stuff going on with Mob that is important, and like, it says a lot. And
character progression, man.
Yeah,
all you need.
His support system is awesome. The flaws with Reagan, and Reagan's just an awesome dude anyways.
Oh yeah, I love him.
The balance between being a comedy and also just hitting you with some real stuff, and then hitting you with like the reality that he's just a kid, and there's so many things that I'm starting to think that I'm just like praising Mob out of the Devilman Bible that we have.
Well, y'all know the best character in that show is the entire Body Improvement team.
Oh my god!
Yes.
Whenever they're on screen, I get so fucking excited.
I love the dude. My favorite dude is the Josuke looking guy. The guy, and in one of the recent episodes, he actually did the Ora punch.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, you're not even trying to pretend like he's not. But yeah, it's great. But I think as far as the questions and news goes, we've been rocking this podcast for a little bit. We're definitely going to have Jake back on the show whenever he's free.
Oh, yeah. I would definitely love to come back.
It was a lot of fun. I'm glad. It's cool having the two people on the podcast, but when it's you have a guest on, it's it feels a lot more flowy. It flows a lot better. I like it. But yeah, that's all we got. I think we are going to keep the news thing going. I had my friend Jeremy hit me up and said that was a really, really cool thing. So every week we'll try to hit you with what's going on.
Only Baki related news.
Only Baki.
Only Baki related news.
This week in the news, it's a week closer to Baki season 2 coming out.
It'll be like, fun fact. Did you know Baki can bench press 1,100 pounds?
There you go. Enough with the Baki.
You know what? Today we're going to examine the left leg of Baki's dad. We're going to see how many ripples we can find in here.
Every muscle is a memory in his life.
As you get older, you just get more muscles. That's how you get it.
He said, shit was tight. I loved that you guys were low-key clowning Baki, but also still somehow saying it was a good show. He said, I watched that show on some Bloodsport level stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, I definitely watched it with that kind of a mentality, watching Bloodsport with my dad when I was a kid, just trying to turn my brain off and watch some crazy shit go down.
It is crazy. It's funny because it's so bloody, and it feels like there's comedic things happening, like things that I would laugh at.
Yeah,
but none of the characters are laughing.
Yeah, it's yeah, this is funny in the perspective of what's going on, but it's also dead ass serious, and I'm I don't know how to react to this.
Yeah,
it feels like I'm fucking Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah,
just some fuckery going on.
I have a friend that has only seen My Hero, and he's super into MMA, and I just messaged him the other day because I play League of Legends with him, and I just messaged him the other day and was like, yo, dude, you should watch Baki because it's literally MMA dudes beating the fuck out of each other.
Yeah, fair enough.
And he was like, oh, that sounds cool, man.
You're on Netflix.
It's just been a big promotion for Netflix. We're not getting paid.
It's our sponsor. We don't get paid though.
We sorry we trashed them earlier, but we are sponsored by Netflix. Check out Baki's second season coming soon.
You only have to sift through 5 pages of horrible anime to find it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna do it for us this week. I think we're gonna keep the weekly thing going for news and whatnot, but yeah, sorry about the skipping we've been doing. We have so many shows to watch this season, and Snorlaxicus is gonna try to watch every show from this season.
God help you.
In 14 days.
I'm gonna try to go for 15 to 20 shows so that I have enough for the award show. But yeah, stay tuned for that. He's trying to watch like 11,000 minutes.
Yeah, dude. Did the math.
11,000.
Put it on Twitter earlier. Did the math. 11,000 minutes of shows in 14 days. It's 8 hours to sleep and work. The rest of it is just nothing but the grind.
Oh man, that's how I found Hakio. Right there is trying to watch every episode in the whole season.
Oh man,
that stopped that shit real quick.
I'm already finding some gems this season in terms of bad, like the Yumeo-san and Girly Air Force.
Girly Air Force.
That sounds like the good bad. Like it'd be like a good bad to watch.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
All right, guys. This is
the Baki cast.
This is the Baki cast. The Devil Man Baki. It's weird because we weren't even really upping Baki that hard when we were talking.
But we know Devil Man is the May of the year.
Devil Man is the one. This is the endless boss battle Baki Devilman Crybaby podcast, episode 11, and we are signing off. See you guys later.
Yes.
See ya.
See ya.